We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Welcome to Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, Soul, and everything in between. We are on LA Talk Live, and we have a very, very exciting show coming up today. Right next to me, we have my co-host, Debbie Carlin Boyle. And Debbie, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Debi Carlin Boyle. I am a certified personal trainer, fitness instructor, and wellness coach. And give us your credentials, Del.
Thank you. I am Del Lady Jones, and I am a relationship and divorce coach. And today, Debbie is going to give us the details of what show is about to happen today.
Yes, I'm excited. I have a good friend of mine on the show today, and he does wonderful things, not only for adults, but also for children. His name is Manny Bujold, and I'm going to sit here and give you all kinds of accolades and tell your credits. He is a 5th degree black belt in Tang Soo Do, right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Tang Soo Do, yeah.
Soo Do is a 13-time sport karate world champion and has been inducted into 3 separate martial arts halls of fame. So, if you will you welcome my good friend Manny Bujold? Manny, thank you so much for joining us today. And
thank you for having me.
We talked about doing a show with you because of what you do to empower both adults and kids. And before we get into any of that, to your present day work, I was wondering if we could, we're wondering if we can talk and you can give us a little bit about your background and what got you into the whole karate world in the first place, where you grew up, what your situation was that made you go in this direction.
Of course. I grew up in Malibu, and I saw Jaws, so I don't like the ocean. Scared of the ocean scares me more than almost anything. And
that's not true for Malibu kids in general.
I know. I already broke the mold with that one. I wasn't a druggy kid, and I wasn't really the spoiled kid. So I got into sports, and I was just a shy kid. So I didn't have a lot of friends, and there wasn't much to do in Malibu when I was growing up there. It's much more built up now. Mm-hmm. A lot more families than when I was growing up there. So I saw the Karate Kid, and off of the Karate Kid, I started karate when I was 5, and the rest is history.
And what made you fall in love with that? I mean, what was it? What was the spark?
There was a lot to that. I think that one, I was just always a kid that liked sports, so it was something that was enjoyable for me on the competitive side. And then also for me, team sports were a little difficult for me because it was hard for me to see somebody that wasn't training or trying as hard as I was on the team. So karate is an individual sport, but at the same time, it's a family sport and it's a team sport because you have all of your teammates and all of your family on the mat with you, even though it's just you that has to do the work. I also always was kind of looking for a male mentor. My parents were very loving and very supportive, but discipline and boundaries and no were not things that they were very good at. So yeah, karate really saved my life on that aspect because, my mom, I could have done anything and my mom would be like, "Ooh, that's my boy. I love him no matter what."
Yes,
and
that's
I wasn't held accountable.
But did you realize that at 5 years old? Were you conscious
I think
of that?
subconsciously I did. I think all children want boundaries, even though they might be pushing away from that.
Totally.
Absolutely true.
And, it's, you look at children that have, let's say, a fit. I'm 36, almost 37. I've had that many years to be able to express myself on what is exciting me, what is bothering me, what's giving me anxiety. I know how to verbalize that, where a child doesn't. So a parent will see a young kid just having a fit, and, you'll see some parents go, "Oh, what do I need to do just to get this kid to shut up? Fine. You want the ice cream? Just take it." And it's not even that. It's they don't know how to express the emotions or the things that are going on inside of their head. So how does that come out? Either physically with punching, screaming, or with them just being quiet. They
Yeah.
just don't know how to express it,
No,
how to let it out.
It's so true. I mean, you've really hit the nail on the head there. I mean, a lot of children, they feel out of control when they're flooded with those emotions, and when their parent is not holding tight boundaries, they don't feel safe.
Yeah.
I mean, because they know they could hurt themselves. They know that left to their own devices, it's not good.
Well, kids are much smarter than people give them credit for. The difference is adults understand how to verbalize it. Children don't. So they let it
act out.
They act out however that may be. And if that isn't checked, or that isn't, I don't like saying boxed in, but if that isn't,
guided.
Yeah, exactly.
Guided
That's
in
a
a
great
healthy way.
Exactly. Then
So you realized that you had too much freedom, and you needed you wanted structure. You were craving it. I mean, you couldn't verbalize it, I'm sure, or even grasp it at the time, but from a sort of an inner standpoint, you knew that you had to have some guidelines.
Yeah.
And the first karate class you took gave you that.
My first instructor, God rest his soul, he passed away, I believe it was 2004, Thanksgiving 2004, was not the nicest man in the world. Most loved him like a father, great man, but like if he opened a karate school now, he'd have no students. No one would put up with it. I mean, he was old school military.
Yeah.
And
what was his name?
Bob Burbage.
Bob
Burbage. Yeah.
We've heard of him.
And was that in Malibu? Bob was in Malibu?
Mr. Burbage was in Malibu. He was right under Spruzzo's.
Oh, right.
Back in the day.
There's a karate place there now.
There's a karate place there now. Mr. Burbage split Malibu Karate Association with Kurt Lamson.
Oh,
right. Who was my kid's karate
Kurt is still
teacher.
there.
Yeah.
Well, we have a caller calling in right now that probably has a
Wonderful.
question for you, Manny. So, caller, are you there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here, but I was calling in to speak to Richard.
Oh, okay.
Well, Richard's not on air right now, so we'll. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go back.
So
wait, let's
yeah,
go back to
Manny.
the beginnings.
Richard's more popular than me. I'm going to cry.
Somebody called in.
That's okay. So
Tease me. I got all excited for a second.
I know.
another
That can
component
happen,
to why you got into it so young at 5, I think, is kids they have like the smell test. They know when they actually deserve the praise. Like you said, your mother would be like, "Oh, you're great, whatever you did. If you spilt the milk, it was great." But I think even as children, instinctually, we know when we've worked hard for something and we get recognized for it. And that's sort of quite addictive. It's like a drug. I mean, so you keep performing and you're getting, karate especially, because you get to wear the belt and, you move
you go up in rank.
Yeah. So it's very visible what you've achieved.
Well, nowadays, back then, yes. I mean, we loved, getting that achievement, and I think back then it was a much more pure praise. Nowadays, kids, we live in the video game society, and everyone goes, I don't like that my kids play video games. Well, ask yourself, why do kids play video games? It's instant gratification. Mm-hmm. They get to be able to say, oh, guess what? I just got to the next level. And they have to work for it, but it's not length work. It's like every 15 minutes that, it's going quick, and they get to go, oh, I'm on level 10 now.
Yeah.
So they get that instant gratification. So we've kind of gotten away a little bit from that pure, praise. Now it's like, oh, you're doing a good job. It's that participation award, which is.
Oh, I know.
drives me crazy.
Wait a minute. My son always got Gentleman of the Team award.
Yeah.
Soccer.
But then, when we were.
Well, then he's a great gentleman, but.
Yeah. When our kids were young, we thought that was important to praise them, even.
For showing up.
For just showing up. But
I get your point.
It's turned to bite us in the butt as now that we have kids in the work world and stuff, and they walk in with this entitlement, and they think that they can handle anything and they can say or do anything, and not maybe have the full credentials for a position that they're trying to go out for, but because mom and dad told them that they were good at anything, that they could just go in and figure it out once they get the job. And it's starting to really rear its ugly head. That's what we've done to the millennials.
The problem in my opinion is kids haven't learned how to fail.
Yeah.
And
That's how we learn,
you
is
know,
from our failures.
Exactly. You know, you fall down 6 times, stand up 7. And it's one of those things that I truly believe what helped me is in martial arts is the fighting aspect of it, because I had a friend post a thing on Facebook, and it was a great video that he posted. He goes, sometimes you're the pigeon and sometimes you're the statue. And you got to learn your place. There's going to be times that you are the best person in the room, and then there's going to be times that you are not the best person in the room. And guess what? You learn from all of it. When you're going in there and you're going, wow, man, I'm getting beat by everybody. That's part of the process. And what that also teaches you is the dedication not to stop, perseverance when things are hard, and then also shows you that you're not made of glass, that you can take a shot to the chin and go, you know what? I can take what you're giving me, and I might not win, but you're not gonna finish me. I'm not gonna quit because of that. And I think that a lot of kids nowadays, they have this unrealistic expectation going, well, my mom thinks I'm awesome, so you know what? I deserve a job that starts off paying me 6 figures. It's like, are you kidding me?
That's what I was
Like,
saying.
No. That's fine. You can have those goals. You can have those long-term goals that
right. You want to dream and work towards it.
But guess what? You got to learn to crawl before you learn how to walk.
Yeah.
You know, and Ashton Kutcher said it best on one award show. He goes, the only job that is below me is not having a job.
Yeah.
You know, and
exactly.
it's, you have those, well, I'm just not going to work if I can't be, a manager. I'm like, okay, you're going to want to be a manager?
Attitude.
How do you manage? What are you going to do to manage all these people? Have you ever done it? No. So then why don't you learn the ins and out of your business, and then that will keep you in that position. It's like I have 2 kids. They're my stepkids, but I don't like calling them.
But you are still raising 2 boys in your
I
household.
don't like calling them my stepkids, but
Yeah.
fact is they are my
They
stepkids,
are.
but they're my boys, and I always tell them, I go, you guys were very lucky to be born into a very successful family. Your dad is very successful. Your mom is very successful. So you have every door open to you. So you have the ability to walk into any door. What are you going to do to keep yourself in the room? Because you have all these children that come from parents that have all these parents that give them opportunities, but now it's like, with great opportunity comes great responsibility. Don't let that opportunity go to waste because you think you're better than you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with the
that's
millennials
what
is they never get checked.
Talking about
I used to
it's
be
good.
in the film business many, many years ago as a costume designer, but back then everybody wanted to be a PA because to be a really great filmmaker, you needed to see what it took from the ground up. And the PAs were the ones that were in every department. They saw everything, and they were eager and willing and wanting to learn. And I'm noticing now, I know a few people, friends of my children's, that have gone to film school, and
They want to be directors right out the
they don't want to be a PA.
I know.
They
I
don't wanna
was
pay their dues, but it's not even paying their dues. That's where you learn.
That's well, and
It's-
I was
it's like-
that.
yeah.
I was a producer for the better part of 30 years, and one of the things that I learned was I went freelance after being a production secretary really quickly because I knew to learn I needed to be on that set, and I didn't care if they asked me to, clean the toilets or get the director coffee 15 times a day and make sure you sweep under his chair. I didn't care. I could hear. I could see, I could feel, I understood the lingo. It only took me 6 months to really figure that out and then start working my passion into where I started producing within 3 years. And I see exactly what you're saying. People are coming to me trying to get in and it's skip all those steps, trying to get into the business just simply because they have a college education. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works these days.
Well, I tell my students, I go, if you're building a house, would you start building the second story first? And you hear all of them go, no. I go,
Layers.
why not?
Yeah.
I go, because there's no first floor to hold it up. I'm like, exactly. I go, so
Foundation.
if you're forgetting your foundation, you're not going to be able to build anything above that. So you're forgetting your foundation if you go, I just want to direct first, or I just want to become a producer first, and then.
It's really funny because the industry, I have to say, and I think a lot of industries this is happening too, not just in the film business, but the millennials came in, like gangbusters, out of college, hire me. I'm very tech savvy. I can do all the social media. I can do this. I can do that. That, perhaps our generation wasn't so savvy at. So, but someone like me who's back in the workforce again and competing with the millennials, they could get hired at a much lower rate for the company, which when we, in 2008 and for several years, we were in a recession. So that sounded good to hire those millennials. But what they come to find out is that they didn't have the foundation. And without having that background, their company wasn't thriving the way they were hoping to have it thrive, having these high-tech kids with enthusiasm in there that they're paying less. So now they're realizing that there is a lot of value in having the ageism that was out there is starting to pull back, is what I'm noticing. And it's just a little bit, but they're pulling back and they're starting to hire both. And they're letting, which is what it should have always been, but they're letting those savvy millennials in there along with the very skilled and very wise and trained people of age.
Yeah,
and
I think we
it's
have
important.
to be careful here not to sound like old fuddy-duddies.
No, we're not. But I mean, you
No,
come
I
to
know
think
what
of
you're
it, at
saying.
over 45, it's very hard to work yourself back into a workplace when you're competing with kids that are 21 and 22 right out of college.
Yeah, I did it, and definitely. But
It's
there were
just
some
changed. It's different.
great kids as well. I mean, I hired lots of really wonderful people straight out of college that weren't afraid. But back to to what you were saying, and I know a big, I don't know if we're going to go there too soon, but the philosophy of your school, what it is that you really, are they mostly children or adults?
Our school starts we start them at 2 to 2.5.
Oh, wow.
Is it a mommy and me at 2?
It's not a mommy and me. We do our little cubs. It's a 30-minute class.
Yeah.
It's very little karate. They might learn a punch and a kick. It's more learning to listen, learning to be athletic, working on their balance.
Oh my God, I would love to see that. It sounds so cute.
It's really cute.
I know.
It's 30 minutes of fun.
Yeah.
But it's that learn to crawl before you learn how to walk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you start there, and then it goes into our little ninja program, which is about 3.5, 4, depending on the child. And it goes to about 5.5, 6, depending on the child. And then our kids program is 6 to 9, and then our teenager young kids is 9 to 13, and then 14 and up is adults.
So, and people, kids and adults can start at any level, like
Any level,
as long as it's within their age group, right?
as long as it's
So-
within their age group. And then, I mean, like I said, we start them at about 2.5, and our oldest, I believe, is late 50s, early 60s.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so it's what's amazing about martial arts to me. I mean, there's so many things, but one of the things that's really amazing about it, it's not like professional football or professional basketball where there has to be a certain level going. If you walk in and you see a man with one arm, he's not going to be able, to become. I mean, he might be, but let's be honest, it's most likely not going to be able to be a professional football player or a professional baseball player. So you need both arms. There's certain things you need to do that. You can still become a phenomenal martial artist with disabilities like that. So that's what's amazing to me. Like, we had this one lady from my instructor now who got her black belt, and she had 2 bad knees, 2 bad hips, couldn't kick head height, still got her black belt, had a black belt attitude, black belt spirit. Her technique was spot on. It was the best that she could do on that. She kept up with everybody as hard as she could. It's an amazing individual sport, and it's everybody's own journey. And it's what I love as a teacher, because it's not like going to elementary school where you go, this is your curriculum. You teach this. This is only what you can teach. Everybody's journey in martial arts is different. How I would train you would be different than how I would train you.
God, that sounds great.
It's nice. I like trying to figure out that, like, kind of Da Vinci Code, how to get into that child or that adult to what makes them tick and what makes them connect to the material or the philosophy that we're trying to teach.
And you're so good about that too, is individualizing I do that in my practice with health, and to see that you're doing that in your studio, and really seeing what the strengths and the weaknesses are, and building up the strengths and building up the weaknesses, and helping them be their very best they can be.
Well, I think people sometimes forget to praise when it comes to fitness or martial arts or fighting. They're very quick to go on, this is what you're doing wrong. We need to fix this so you can be better. And I'm all for that. You need to be able to tell somebody when they're doing something wrong, and that could be something in life. Someone talks to you a way that you don't like it, you need to speak up right away and say, you know what, I don't really like how you're talking to me. Because the second you don't do that, that becomes a habit for the other person, and it's almost your approval for them to talk to you that way.
That's right.
You
have to set
your boundaries. But you also need to tell people when they're working that hard and they're doing the best that they can, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. It's, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's going to take its time. Eventually it will click. You'll get it. Keep up the hard work. The next statement can be, but while you're doing that, make sure you keep your hand up, or you need to bend your knees more, or whatnot. You have to be able to praise as well as constructively criticize.
Yeah, we call it the sandwich technique and it's basically you acknowledge for somebody for how they showed up, what they're doing great. You give constructive feedback, not criticism, in the middle, and then you on the other side again. It's like, you know what, you show such incredible tenaciousness and keep coming back here. And it's like every time anything is sandwiched between acknowledgements, it's so much easier for people to take the feedback.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you're really good. I happen to be a recipient of Manny's teaching. And I know that's true for you because I've seen you. I've done one-on-one boxing with you, and I've also taken your cardio kickboxing classes, and I've also subbed for you because you taught me well on how to sub. And I just see you are the person the type of person I like to be around when I'm learning something, because it's constructive praise and constructive criticism, if you will, and show me, because you do it with a smile on your face, with an attitude that you're paying attention, that to me, not the whole class, you're paying attention to each individual of the class and striking them for each thing that they can or can't, achieve at that moment. And to know that you're doing that now with kids and giving them that foundation, as they get older, what a wonderful thing, because the world needs more Mannies to do that with our children. So, no, but it's true. And I just talk about giving praise. I mean, you are really spot on with what you're doing with them.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed.
Well, I'm very blessed. I mean, I get to do what I love, and they say, if find what you love to do, you never work a day in your life.
No, exactly.
So
and you don't.
I don't. It's hard. It's a lot of effort.
No, I know,
but it's enjoyable effort. So I'm very blessed on that aspect. I'm very much with you on the sandwiching it, the constructive, critiques and the praise. I do hit my kids though. I do teach them how to take some criticism. You can't sugarcoat that.
No, exactly.
So I never let my kids know what they're going to get that particular day. One day it might be the really fun day. One day might be the, let's be really, serious discipline day. One day might be the mean day. Because as they grow up, not everybody is going to be nice to you.
Yeah.
Not everyone is going to accept you. And you know what? That's okay. They don't have to. You have to accept yourself. You have to know your own self-worth. And then at that point, people's opinions, that's their opinion.
That's right.
Opinions vary. There's going to be people that think you're the biggest prick in the world, and there's going to be people that think you are the greatest person in the world. And how you handle that, is what will make you the man or the woman that you are.
Yeah, it's so true. I when my kids were at school, I mean, it was quite often that a parent would be like, "Oh my God, we've got Mrs. So and so for our teacher this year," and
of course,
I really stepped out of that because I thought, you know what, if you've got a difficult teacher for a year, you're going to learn not just what you learn in the classroom, but you're going to learn how to deal with difficult people. It's like it's a life lesson that's great for you to have. I love what you say. I mean, it's totally learning that self-confidence of knowing who you are regardless of how somebody's behaving that day, to not take that on.
With teachers though, sometimes, especially with school teachers, there is a fine line though, because there are children like I'll put myself in that. I'm massively dyslexic. I made it through pretty much all of my schooling without knowing I was dyslexic. That's how much the teachers were paying attention to me.
No, it's terrible.
So, if you have learning issues on that, teachers need to be able to, I don't want to say morph their teaching style, but they have to be able to take that into account.
Yeah, they have
because
to accommodate you
because
in that respect.
that's not like a physical thing where if in the business, a squat, there's only one way to do a squat right.
That's right.
If you do a push-up, you might be able to modify it, do it on your knees.
Right.
Or we don't go all the way down, but you can't do a push-up with your hands behind your back.
No,
going
it's
into the wall.
dangerous. You'll physically hurt yourself. Yes.
Where with learning, and especially for school, you have to be able to reach that child in their way. And if, I'm all for strict teachers, lenient teachers, whatever, but you have to know who you're teaching, and you have to have your eyes open. So I know, I'm not going to name, the schools that my kids go to. One had some teachers that I had a problem with their teaching.
No, I agree. I'm not talking about the bad teachers, because I'm dyslexic. My son was dyslexic, hugely dyslexic. I knew at 6 years old, and the school system don't apparently test till you're in 3rd grade. So they were like, no, he's fine. I'm like, he's not. I can see it, and I'm not one of those sort of tiger mamas, helicopter mothers. He just really struggled.
Yeah.
But without a doubt, paying attention, stepping in, getting the resources necessary. I'm just talking about sort of, like if there was a teacher that was just, maybe not as
popular. It was always the popular teacher.
Yeah.
The one that everybody
without a
wanted to
doubt,
be
pay
around.
attention to your child's education, and hopefully they're getting the best education. But again, learning to deal with maybe some people that just aren't as warm and pushy,
and which brings us to the subject, which I want to talk about, and we're going to take a break in a little bit here, but we can start to just tap into it. Empowerment. And I know you wrote an article about empowerment, which I read, and I really enjoyed, because there were so many truths about it. And I have to tell you that I'm going through a little personal crisis myself, and it's been this last couple of weeks I've kind of cowered, and then all of a sudden today I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna head into this. I'm gonna stand up straight, put my shoulders back, get some confidence, and feel I'm a strong woman, both mentally and physically. I can handle this dude who's trying to bully me, and I'm not gonna let him get the best of me. I'm gonna go through all the channels I need to do legally to get this resolved, and he can say what he wants, but he's not going to penetrate me. And then I started thinking about you being on the show and what you're doing, and I know this is coming from the background that I have, that I feel physically and mentally strong enough to deal with him, because I could cower and this guy would be walking all over me right now, and he would be victorious in what he's trying to achieve, which is something illegal, and I am saying, I'm not going to let you. And the fact is I have to keep passing him and dealing with him. And I for a while I was like hiding, going behind trees and trying to wait until I heard the door close so I didn't have to see him. And today I just thought, you know what, I'm going to own it. I have to own it, because when I walk into any room, anytime, when I'm in a situation like this, I'm not going to be bullied. And he's bullying me. He is doing a form of bullying. And I'm not going to allow it to happen. And I have to, again, thank you for giving me confidence, because kickboxing has really helped me. And this guy is a personal trainer, and right now I think he's on steroids, so he's extra big. But so physically could overtake me, of course. But but confidence comes much more from that place of strength. And so I want to touch on empowerment and what you're doing for kids for their future, like we started to talk about.
Well, the first thing, I'm glad you liked the
it was the article.
I do need to give credit. Courtney Resnick, who is our school manager, her and I both wrote that, so she needs to get a little bit of praise off of that one.
Good for you and Courtney.
I'd like to take all the praise on that one, but she was very much my right hand on that one to help write that. I think that a lot of people, like talking about how you would hide behind trees, a lot of people do that because it's easier. They're like, well,
confrontation.
Confrontation. But in that ease of not having to deal with it, then all you're doing is putting a bigger anchor around your ankle that's just going to drown you. And the one thing that I like to try to teach my kids is be your own hero. And that could be being a hero. You see someone being bullied, just step in and go, hey, you know what? That's not nice. Stop. Or the kid that's being bullied, hey, you want to come? I got a cool backpack. Come look at this new backpack that I got. Different things just to stop the situation on there. Or being your own hero and just not letting someone talk to you or be that particular way. Now, that doesn't mean that just because you're being your own hero, you're going to win. Okay, every hero does not win every battle, but every hero fights every battle.
That's right.
And it's one of those that I can live with losing a battle, standing up for myself way faster than living with myself knowing I didn't fight it because I was scared to, or whatever the reason might be that I didn't fight that battle. Battles are there to test you and make you the man or the woman that you will become. And you can't, the strongest trees aren't the ones that are protected from the wind. They're the ones that, face the wind and grow strong roots to keep them from getting knocked over. So you have to be able to be your own hero on that and just say, you know what? I don't care what you think of me. I have my group, and they love me. So you can think what you want. I'm not going to let you do that.
That's great. I want to keep
great.
touching on that. Just a little bit more on how you through the art of martial arts, how you achieve that. We do have to go to break.
We're going to break right now, but when we come back to it, I'd love to tell you my first venture into the martial arts.
I love it.
When I was about 22. It's quite a funny story, but all around the same thing, empowerment. So anyway, we will be back shortly. We're going to take a 2-minute break. Please stay with us and come back. And we're having a fascinating talk with Manny here. And
you're listening to Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, and Soul, and everything in between. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, I'm Del Lady Jones, and I'm a certified relationship and divorce coach.
And I'm Debbie Carlin Boyle, a certified personal trainer, fitness instructor, and health coach.
Join us on Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific, for Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, Soul, and everything in between, exclusively on LA Talk Live.
Become part of the conversation with expert guests discussing life-changing topics such as relationships, divorce, longevity, parenting challenges, dating, intimacy, and so much more.
We would love to hear your opinions and questions, either on our Facebook page or by calling us directly at 323-473-3100. We are Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, Soul, and everything in between. Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, and now live on Facebook, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. And now on our YouTube channel, Del and Debbie Mind, Body, Soul. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're Del and Debbie at Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, and Soul, and everything in between. And our guest today is the wonderful Manny Bujold. Manny is a champion, a martial arts champion, world title, and he has his own studio. It's called Agoura Hills
World champion
karate.
Yes.
Karate studio. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I'm doing this.
I'm her eyes.
I won't hold it against you.
Yes. And
totally
it's in
will.
Agoura Hills, California, and we've been talking some wonderful things about empowerment and martial arts, and Manny being the champion and the teacher he is, we're going to pick up kind of where we left off, if we could.
Absolutely.
And talk a little bit about the kids and the process of what you talk about in the article, and giving them a sense of purpose and a sense of strength when they walk into a room that has nothing to do with actually being a martial in karate.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that I like to, we were talking about bullies and being bullied, and the one thing that I notice a lot is kids and adults care way too much that everybody likes them. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. I wish I could remember who said it, but I heard this line, and it was a great line. It really resonated with me. If everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
that's so great.
You're not being real, and you're not being honest, because guess what? People are not going to always agree with your opinions. I mean, you could look at it just politically right now.
Yeah,
you have Democrats, you have Republicans.
See what's going on.
You know what I mean? And there's people that, have their point of views, and you have your point of views. And if everyone likes you, you're not being honest. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So you need to be able to know who you are and be okay with the fact that not everyone is going to agree with you. Not everyone is going to like you. So once you get that, it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to stand up to someone picking on you. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, I think one of the things that's really difficult for children or adults being bullied or picked on is going, why don't you like me? Why are you doing this? I'm a good person.
Yeah.
Why me? And you know what? There could be many reasons why that person is picking on you,
Well, that person has many problems.
Yes.
And they tend to go pick on the person who they think doesn't have those problems that they have,
Or like you say, people that are people pleasers. I want to interject for a moment, because this is a very funny story. When I first came here, I was to America, I think I was about 21, 22. And I was a complete people pleaser. I was definitely, I was shy. I was probably afraid, even though I was brave enough to come here on my own. But I still had those qualities about me. And I got my first job on a film. It was called 10 to Midnight. And I was a wardrobe supervisor on the film. And we shot, it was a sort of crime thing. And it was with Charles Bronson. Mm-hmm. And we were always shooting downtown, back alleys, 3 o'clock in the morning, things like that. And one day I was running from the trailer to the set, and, I was frightened. I mean, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I've got to run down this alley on my own. And one day somebody literally pushed me into a doorway. And it was not near the trailers, not near the set. And I was like, oh wow. My God, what do I do? It's about 3 a.m. And all of a sudden, Charles Bronson came to my savior and sort of grabbed this guy and pulled him off me. And he just looked at me and he said, you need to take some self-defense lessons. You walk like a victim. And it was brilliant. And I immediately got myself into karate. And I learned, I was only in it for a year or so because I didn't actually like the fighting part, but I learned to walk with confidence. I learned to know that, or rather I learned how to deflect if somebody was going to attack me. I knew how to get myself out of being attacked. But just simply the way it affected the way I walked in those streets, especially if I was doing those late night shoots and things like that. I just had this sort of, don't mess with me. I can take care of myself. And I never found myself in that situation again.
And that's a radar that people have to know not to mess with you, or know that they'll try it on and try to mess with you. Because it's really important. I have 2 girls who you both know, and they live here in LA. It's very dangerous. They both were in the film business for many years, and same kind of thing, working late nights, and one daughter still in the restaurant business, going to her car late at night. And so when they were high school age, 18, I put them in self-defense courses. Now they both have taken classes with Manny, and they're both very physical and very, they're very good at athletics and fitness. But that doesn't always give you the confidence that you need. And so we put them into self-defense classes. And like you said, they learned how to stop somebody. But the biggest thing that they learned was to have the attitude that you don't mess with me. Yeah. And it actually came in handy for Hannah, my youngest daughter, when she was living in the south of France, because she was attacked by a mob gang, her and her girlfriend. And she was able to get out of the situation based on the competence that she had and based on what she learned in self-defense. She did come home with a black eye, I must say, but she got out of the
came
situation.
home.
She came home, exactly.
home.
Yeah, it was the night before she was supposed to leave, too, after 9 months. It was scary. But
the one thing is, people that are going to try to, mug you or, rob, whatever it is that they're trying to do, something that they're not supposed to be, don't want to go for the person that's going to fight back. They want the easy person. You look at it in the wild, you don't see, the lion going after the really, really fast gazelle. They're going after the slow one. They want to eat. So it's that line going, you don't need to be the fastest, you just got to be faster than the slowest.
Yeah.
right.
So it's one of those that, if you look at somebody, who is strong enough, or at least faking it enough, to have their shoulders back, makes eye contact, walking, upright, instead of the person that's cowering down. Hi, how are you? Please, I hope something doesn't happen. Those are those easy victims that they're just going, oh, it's like taking candy from a baby.
No, exactly.
And, I think that for me, I think the fighting aspect, I told Debbie this, going, I believe that there is a strength through fighting, and not in the violent aspect of it. But it's scary to have someone grab you. It's scary to have a punch or a kick thrown at you. And you would never take your child and throw them in the deep end of the pool without teaching them how to swim first. So my thing is, I think that you need to have the realistic application to what you're trying to learn. Anyone can go hit a bag.
Yeah.
Anyone can throw a punch or a kick in the air. But once you have something thrown back at you, now that doesn't mean you don't need to become a professional fighter. You don't need to become some, 5th degree black belt, master in what you're doing. But you need to know that you've seen it before. You've dealt with it. It didn't break you. You're stronger than what you think you are. And there's a strength in getting hit. Going, oh, look at that. That wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah. It's so true, because it's the mental preparation, like you say. You've been through this before, so you don't go into that panic. You actually, can stay calm and deal with it.
Well, there's, I like quoting a lot of people. There was a film, Chasing Mavericks, and the lead actor in it, Gerard Butler, said a line. It was about big wave surfing. He goes, "What happened? You panicked, or was it fear?" He goes, and I don't remember the exact line after, but he goes, those are two different emotions. Fear is normal. Panic is deadly. You can, it's fear keeps me, I'm scared every time I step in the ring to fight. That keeps me on my toes. A fighter that says they're not scared, I'll call them a liar to their face. They're either lying or they're stupid. Like, you're having someone that's trying to physically hurt you. That's scary. But that makes me work harder. That makes me be on my toes. That makes me move faster. That panic going, oh my God, makes you lock up.
Right.
And
then you panic. I mean, your whole body,
then your heart,
you start to hyperventilate, your heart palpitates, and then you don't have control. So to stay in control, you use the adrenaline from the fear rather than turn it into panic from the fear. So let's, speaking, talking about getting preparation for a fight and getting to the point where you're at, tell us, first off, I want to talk about all of your successes, recently, because you did take some time off and then you came back and got into it and started fighting and just winning right away. So, and I want to hear about the process before you go into your, because you always come back from these fights. I see you prepping. I know how strict you are and what you're doing. And then you come back and I hear that you won. And, I'm just one of your biggest cheerleaders. I think it's so great. And I just wonder, what is that process?
Well, what I compete in is what you call sport karate.
And what is that?
So if you ever watch The Karate Kid, it's kind of like that. It's full contact point, and you can hit the guy as hard as you want.
And only using your
hands and feet.
Hands and feet.
Okay. It's not like a lot of people will go up to me and be like, "Oh, you do UFC?" I'm like, "No, I don't do UFC.
Yeah.
And that makes me laugh the most, because people go, "Oh, you do UFC?" I'm like, UFC is a company and a league. It's not the actual application of it. That's MMA, which stands for mixed martial arts.
Right.
That's a whole different ball game. I've trained in that, and I think those are the best athletes in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no off season.
Yeah.
They're training all the time. For me, I took some time off. I had 2 back surgeries. Became kind of very gimpy, but I missed competing, and so I wanted to come back. And I have great coaches around me, and you train hard to win easy. So
How long did you take off? What was that?
I had
time?
I had my first back surgery in 2007, September.
Now, were these injuries from your sports? We shouldn't be saying that.
Not from the actual training of martial arts.
Okay.
It was actual from competition and some really just sheer dumb luck, falling in a weird way and
Yeah.
popping something.
Oh dear.
And me being young and dumb, back then. Now I take a much more holistic approach to how I get into the ring and how I get prepared to train and all those things. When you're 16 and 20 and 25, you think you're invincible, and you'll have something, you'll tweak something, and the next day you're fine. So I mean, my warm up was like shaking my shoulders out, be like, ready to go. And now it's I'm
older and wiser about
yeah,
that.
if I could go back in time and tell myself one thing, I would say stretch more. Like, I got into Bikram yoga.
Yeah.
I got an amazing Bikram yoga coach in Agura. I love Rachel. She's absolutely amazing.
Brilliant.
And she's really saved my back.
Take Marissa's hot yoga classes.
I
Plug for the daughter here.
I know plug for the daughter on that one, but I'm plugging for my team on
And
that
I'm
one.
going to
Sorry.
plug my yoga teacher, Mona.
So no,
She's amazing.
she fixed my back. And normally, as embarrassing as it is, I'd fought at this one tournament last February, and came back, and like 2 days later, I'm taking my dog for a walk, and I take his pinch collar off and threw my back out.
Oh, it's always, doesn't that happen?
Just
It's
the
so
simplest
silly
little
thing.
things.
It was so embarrassing, because like everyone was like, "How'd you hurt your back?" They're like, "Were you fighting?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "I'd rather not say." They're like, "Just tell me." They're like, "It can't be that bad." I'm like, "Yes, it can be."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What was it?" I'm like, "I took my pit bull's dog collar off."
Every injury I've ever had is
it's
like a silly thing like
and
that.
so I have an amazing pain management doctor that had just moved to the East Coast. So normally, if I tweak something, I'd go in, I'd get a little facet block or something like that, and it'd be fine. I'm like, "Oh no, I don't have a team around me anymore. He's gone." So I'm like, "What can I do?" I'm like, everyone always said try yoga, and I always loved yoga, but with my back, after my back surgery, I can't go into straight yoga class. I'd have to warm up for 2 hours, really get a sweat. So I'm like, I'm going to try Bikram. I'm going to try the hot yoga. And there was a Bikram school right next to my karate school. It's right down the street. And I walk in there, and I met the owner there, and I'm like, "Are you good with backs?" And I remember her lunch, she goes, "I'm good with everything." She's like, "You'll be in good hands." I'm like, "All right." And I started doing privates with her, and it's completely fixed my back.
How long has it been?
Since, let's say it was end of February. I started with her probably beginning
Almost
of
a year?
April, almost a year.
Wow.
And I mean, I still have my flare-ups. I mean, that's with any injury. I mean, especially after 2 back surgeries, it's going to flare up. But I mean, between her and I have this PT named Yusi, who is he's God's gift. He's God's gift. He's amazing. He's those two are my team that really just keep me together, and because of them,
you can compete.
Yeah, and so I see both of them weekly, and then I have my my warm up routines, and then it's just about putting in the time. You can't hide anything from hard work. Hard work knows what you're putting in. You can't hustle the hustle.
I go back to that line you used before. I loved it when I was reading some stuff about you. The train hard to win easy.
Train hard, win easy. So
win
there
easy.
is
I love that.
I wish I'd come up with that. That is from a team out of, I believe Mr. Liker is out of Kansas City. His son, Jarrett, is a phenomenal martial artist, and that's kind of their slogan. It's train hard, win easy, and that really resonated.
Yeah.
It's one of those that you can't expect to win or to succeed without the hard work. You can't just wake up and go, all right, I want to do it, and it's going to
everything
give
in
it to
life.
me. You have to work hard for it. And that hard work is what makes your victory or your success that much more rewarding. Knowing how much you sacrificed, how much time, you put into it. The long nights, the sore muscles, the bruises, the bloody noses, whatever it may be that you put in for that fight or that competition. When you go and you can have your hand raised and you're like, that's right, it's worth it.
I have a question for you. I mean, I hear all about the preparation and the hard work and the training and things like that. Are there certain body types that just, there's a limit to how far they can go in championship?
I think that the best fighters aren't necessarily always the physically the best. They're the mentally they're the strongest. You could have the most physically fit person in the world. If they're mentally weak, they're not going to win, because it's one of those that every fight, unless you kind of knock someone out really quickly, you're going to have a point where your body goes, I'm done. I don't want to do anymore. And you have to have that mental fortitude to be able to say, you know what? No, I'm the boss. You're not going to tell me I'm done. I want this more than how tired I am, or how something's hurting. So I think that, yes, there are attributes that help. You
have really long legs.
I got long
Manny,
legs, so I have long legs, so it helps kicking.
Yes.
It helps with kicking.
Yes.
There's people that are faster. There are people that are,
more flexible.
So on. Everybody has their things,
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, if you don't have that mental strength to say, it as a trainer, you'll have those clients go, you know what, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm not coming in.
Yeah.
Anyone can work out or do something when they want to. What will set you in the direction of your dreams and your goals is doing it when you don't want to. Like I said, anyone can do it when they want to. Be like, I feel good today, I'm going to go for a workout. It's the days where you wake up and you're like, my legs hurt so bad right now. If I have to do another squat, I don't know how I'm going to do it. What am I going to do? Well, you're going to, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, suck it up, stiffen your upper lip, and get your butt to the gym.
That's right.
That's how winning is done.
It's so funny. I have I work out at the beach. I do kettlebells on the beach on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Oh, it's amazing. And so this morning I woke up and it's pouring with rain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just have to put my clothes on and get down there anyway, because knowing the woman that teaches
Does
us,
she show up in the rain?
She showed up. She drove from Newbury Park.
Wow.
So there we all are in the rain. There's about 5 of us still doing kettlebells in the rain on the beach. It was brilliant. It was amazing.
And that's
showing up.
Yeah.
It's showing up and being accountable.
Yeah.
And I tell my students, the hardest part is walking through the door.
Yeah.
Once you get through the door, the rest is easy. You enjoy being there.
Yeah.
The hard part is just getting your butt through the door.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say,
ahead.
now you mentioned your students. Do you see, obviously you're a world-class championship fighter. Do you have any students that you've been working with that you see have that same quality as far as?
I have a few. I'm taking around 12 students to Vegas at the end of the month for a competition, and
they're going to be in the
They're gonna-
competition.
they're
They're
gonna
not
be-
watching you.
I'm fighting too. It's actually the most nervous that I've been for a fight, because they're going to get to watch me
Because they're
fight.
watching.
I'm
That's the hardest
I'm like,
audience.
no,
yeah.
no.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
But they're going to compete. For me, our slogan at our karate school is "We create champions for life." At the end of the day, I don't care if I have a world champion fighter. I don't care if I have a national champion fighter. I care that I have great children and great adults.
Yeah.
I care that I could send my kid out into the world and they can look someone in the eye, shake their hand, say, "Hi, how are you? My name is, so and so." Or they can go to their job, and if they do something wrong, they can sit there, they can, take that chewing and say, "I'm sorry, I will do my best not to have that happen again."
That's so beautiful.
And it's one of those,
Wonderful.
I tell my kids, I'm like, when they're like, "I'll never do that again," I'm like, "Don't tell me that, because that's a lie." You can't tell me you're never going to do something again. Tell me you're going to try your best not to do it again, because guess what? Accidents happen.
Yeah.
You might do it again, and you might not have meant to do it again. Do your best not to make that mistake again. You did something wrong. That's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. No one's perfect. I don't believe in perfect.
And you're taking, what did you say, 12 kids with you around?
Wow. Around 12.
How lucky are these kids to have you, because you as a teacher and a mentor, because you're giving them so much more than just the physical strength that you're giving them.
Well, I'm giving
great
back
advice.
for what I got. Like, my first instructor is who I got my junior and adult black belt from. But my instructor that I have 2 instructors now. two main instructors now. I have
that help you when
that help
you're
me
to
now.
prep for.
Well, I have my competition coach, my sport karate coach is a gentleman named Jose Pacheco, but I have my instructor who I got my second degree and through fifth degree black belt from, named Harry Graham. Now, you've known me since I was around 19, 20.
Yes.
So she's only seen the finished product of what Harry did. I was the shyest child in the world, would not talk, have my chin down, barely look you in the eye, very respectful. How are you, sir? And wouldn't talk. Harry's the one that's really created the monster. Like I said, I barely talked. I'm catching up for lost time now with how much I talk now, but he really helped mold me into the man that I am today, and definitely made me the martial artist that I am today.
Oh,
So it's
wonderful.
Very cool.
it's-
And now you're doing it for others. You
Yeah.
know, you're taking it.
But
you're taking
it's
the
because of
cycle through
It's very much because of him that
that you are.
that I am the way that I
That's
am,
cool,
and
'cause
and he doesn't get enough praise. I really don't give him enough
Let's say
praise.
his name
on that.
again.
Yeah. And
name-
tell him to watch the show.
His name's Harry Graham. I'm trying to get him to come teach at the karate school. He closed his school down a few years ago, became a respiratory nurse,
Oh, wow.
and just a great man. So
Wow.
I was the best man at his wedding. He was the best man at my wedding.
Oh, I think I know who he is.
I think I've shown
think
you a
I've
picture.
met- yeah.
Amazing guy.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get enough praise from me.
I know when I met
Wonderful.
you, I think you were just maybe 20 or so when we met. When I met you, you were at the front desk of a gym that we are both personal trainers at. And you were such a presence. You're a physical presence because of your height and strength and all of that.
It's more
and
this,
your
but,
beauty and the beauty of Manny. But also, I mean, you just came right up and introduced yourself, and I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Debbie. I'm an instructor and trainer here. You know, it was like you just kind of, you owned the room. You owned it. And I remember thinking, who is this kid? I wasn't sure of your age at the time. I'm much older than you, but I knew that you were beyond your years the second I met you. I just knew, because nobody your age would come up and look me in the eye and talk to me like that, you know, and introduce themselves so directly.
That's 100% based off of the men that I had around me in martial arts.
Oh, there you go.
100%.
And now you're doing it for
Yeah.
those
So
kids.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you're just bringing up a point here. I mean, children that grow up without, especially, girls and boys that grow up without a father in their life. I'm sure that a situation like yours in the karate studio, I mean, you have female trainers too, but what a wonderful place to go for a positive role model that you might not have at home.
Well, it's one of those, I'm very lucky to have a great assistant instructor at my school. She's fantastic. And I made it a point to have a female instructor, because some children gravitate more towards females, some gravitate more towards men. And you need to have both. You have to have the yin to the yang, and she's absolutely fantastic. She's actually teaching at the school right now, so I could be here. But for parents, what's so great about a martial arts school and about putting their children in martial arts is there's no instruction manual on how to be a parent. And it's
the most
that
important job.
you don't know what you're doing. You learn as you go. Everyone has their common sense. Some people have a little less than others on how they're doing it, but they're all doing their best. But it's hard for a parent to be the judge, jury, and executioner, the friend, so on and so on. So it makes it so much more important to have that disciplinarian in their life. And it's for me, like I tell the parents there, I'm like, look, if there's a problem, tell me. We'll discuss it in class, and if they're not acting right, they're gonna, they have to handle it with me. And I hear it time and time again. Do I need to tell Mr. B? And they're like, we won't do it. It's like, because when you have somebody when you have something that you love doing, and you have that mentor and you have that teacher that's teaching you what you love to do, their opinion matters. So it's easier for me, because I don't need to be around them 24 hours a day like their parents do, to say, you know what, this is not right. Part of being a young man or a young woman, this is the right way to do it. And we get to talk about whether it be focusing, whether it be, manners, whether it be just how to be, a proper young man or woman. We get to talk about it. And it's like, you have all these other activities, like I'll use soccer, because I have a lot of students that are in soccer, and you'll hear their coaches going, you need to focus. Okay, that's great. Are you going to teach them how? Where are the backbones? What's the backbone of focusing? Like we talk about focusing at school. How do we focus? Everything that you see, everything that you think, everything that you hear needs to be on one particular thing. What's that one particular thing right now? On me, because we're at the karate school. You have to have everything on me. Where are the 3 most important places to focus? At home with your parents, at school with your teacher, and on this karate mat with me. It's
that.
certain things
that's being present, that's being mindful, that's being with intention. That's what you're teaching at a very early age, and it usually takes a lifetime to start getting that into.
Absolutely.
Well, it's all about healthy habits.
Can you believe an hour is up and that we've just had so much to talk about? We haven't hit on everything, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, so let's, before the music takes us out here, let's give you your website and how people can contact you.
And your school again, and that information. And we're up on the screen, too.
You can find me at Agura Hills WCK at gmail.com is the email address, or our website is agurahillswck.com. Find us on Facebook, Agura Hills World Champion Karate. And come on in. If you mention the show, guys, I'll give you guys a free month.
Oh, wow. There you go.
I'm coming in.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we're coming in.
I need to brush up.
Manny, one last thing. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom to wrap us up here.
Words of wisdom. A waterfall begins with one drop of water.
There you go.
Remember that.
Very wise. Yeah.
I like the clapping. I like the clapping. It takes its time to get flowing, so don't expect it. Rome wasn't built in a day. So it's every day, add another drop to your waterfall. Eventually, it'll be a flowing one. So.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
We love that.
Thank you for your time.
so much.
Thank you for having me. It was my
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us.
And we thank you for joining us. We're Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, and Soul. We'll be back next week, 2 p.m. Pacific time, with another great topic on wellness. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you then.
Okay.
To LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network for original reality radio and crafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.